Peace, family. This Rich, Underground Railroad Productions. I'm in the building with my boy Clecquot. Y'all may know him from the Avengers Decoded. He did a magnificent job with KT, the arts degree. As we all know, July 4th is right around the corner, and there's always a debate, a divide about should black people celebrate it, should black people leave that shit alone, not engage in these Western European holidays. You know, there was even a book, Barashango, rest in peace to Barashango, about European holidays I remember reading when I was young. I want to talk to this brother. This brother has a very interesting perspective about July 4th and about holidays in general. And without me saying anything, I'm going to just let the brother Clecquot get into it. And then I guess I can ask the brother a couple of questions after that.
So, but you want me? Okay. Peace, family. So basically, I did this post like 2 years ago, and it kind of like caught on. And what I said in the post was, I know you don't know what today was. Just like last 4th of July, I sat back and watched most of you knock Independence Day as a European holiday. And then I educated you to how your knowledge on the 4th of July was limited. I reminded you that they chose that day, like many others, to include, but not limited to, Christmas, Passover, Easter, and etc. because of the celestial implications it has. I put you onto the phenomena that they call aphelion and told you to apply what you learned about that to how our ancestors in antiquity tapped into it. I explained that Johnny-come-lately only emulates our ancient formulas. Many of you then did your homework and came to your own conclusions. Stop thinking that everything the European does is really European. Anyway, back to today, January 4th, 2015. Today is a celestial phenomenon called perihelion. Geb, or Earth, was closest to Ra, or the sun, for the year. So that was me dealing with the perihelion for January 4th. Because first I talked about perihelion. So perihelion is when the Earth is closest to the sun, and that's around January 4th. Now, aphelion is when the Earth is furthest from the sun, and that's July 4th, or around July 4th. And basically, what I was saying is, I'm not saying that I'm the first person to know about perihelion or aphelion. Of course I'm not. Those are Greek words, so that tells you that these Europeans noticed it and named it that. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, what I bring to the table is saying this, that if these Europeans we're tapping into celestial movements, we already know that our ancestors did that first in antiquity. Therefore, our ancestors must have observed aphelion and perihelion before the European. So when the European is celebrating the 4th of July, it really has nothing to do with whatever historical independence thing that they tell you about in the corporation that they call the United States. It's really them emulating our ancestors. I mean, we already know this country is built off of Masons who emulate Egypt, not really Kemet. They emulate Egypt. Us, we're emulating Kemet. We're taking it further back to the real essence or whatever. So our country is built on like Freemasons and people that's emulating our ancestors. So we can't just jump to the conclusion and assume that these Europeans created this or anything else for that matter. We always quick to say that, you know, they didn't create anything, they copy this, copy that. But then we get mad about these different holidays. And really what I want to say about this is, a lot of times our first mind is not our mind. Usually a lot of times the first thought that pops in your head is actually like a thought that's not your own, because we all suffer from post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? So we all been beating our head with colonialism and these European ways and teachings or whatever. So therefore, a lot of times the first thought is one of those thoughts. So even though we might have just got conscious yesterday or whatever, and we like, oh, fuck 4th of July. Like, hold up. Like, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. And I'm not saying that we should go out there with the same intentions that Europeans do, but I'm for taking back all of our symbols, all of our things or whatever. And I'm saying that it must be one of ours. I will admit I haven't pinpointed like an African name for it per se, but we already know, like I said, for a fact that we tapped into celestial alignments and things of that nature, and all the European did was come behind and emulate that. So I'm saying that 4th of July is ours, and for me it's nothing wrong with celebrating that, as long as I have the intentions that I have, that's not the intentions that they have. It's just like, real quick, I remember one time, Brother Rich, I was at a table down the street from your table, and this is back when we were all wearing skulls on our shirts and stuff like that. So this brother said to me, he was like, yo, son, you know what that represent, what you got on? And I'm like, yeah, I know. Do you know? He was like, he started saying something about Illuminati and shit like that. Yeah, and no, and then Skull and Bones. So I told the brother, I said, yo, look, our ancestors studied Sopdet, or the star Sirius. They also studied the Sahu, or Sa, or the Orion constellation, right? Which is the celestial representation of Asar, and Sopdet is the celestial representation of Osset, right? Now, the Europeans call Sahu the Orion constellation. The Orion constellation, or Sahu, is missing a head. It's just a torso. It's missing its femur bones. So that's where, you know, the crossbone comes from. The crossbone is them transfixing or juxtaposing those femur bones and the skull.
Is that also the origin of the Confederate flag?
I'm glad you said that.
Because they didn't hear me. Repeat what I
Oh, Brother Rich said, is that, how you say it again?
The Confederate flag. Is that also the origin of
Is that also the origin of the Confederate flag? Well, I won't say exactly the origin like that per se, but I'll say on a metaphysical level, I did this post once again a long time ago, and basically what I was saying was that, yeah, the Confederate flag represent. I said the X on the Confederate flag is like the X on Asar or Ptah, you know, and you know, the stars in the middle, you know, whenever you see stars in blue, that's Nut, you know, the Netcheret Nut, right? So now, prior to me saying that, I know there existed way in the past somebody on like the internet had said, they mentioned the X, you know, being a cross, and you know, the celestial crossing, which is true, and but then they said something about the 4 pyramids, you know, and whenever you see 4, that's the 4 elements, earth, fire, water, air. We know that. That's really elementary, whoever said that, you know. But what I was saying is, I was adding on to that, and I was saying that the Confederate flag, you know, if we look at it as like a flag in general, we were the ones that first flew banners, flags, or carried standards and things of that nature, and had mascots and so forth. So all I'm saying is, like, when you get knowledge of self, when you it's what you do with that knowledge of self. You're supposed to perceive things differently than the brainwashed brothers out here. But what we do is we get conscious, and we still see some of those things the same way. We so mad that we've been lied to, and we throw everything out the window, and we shouldn't, because some of that shit is ours, and we got to take it back. Like, I don't see nothing wrong with the Confederate flag, personally. I do understand somebody seeing something wrong with it. I don't see nothing wrong with the swastika, you know, all these symbols that were, you know, like positive things probably in antiquity or whatever. So my name is Clecquot, the Naga Insu Biti, and I can be contacted on Instagram at Clecquot. The spelling is probably going to be on the screen. And on Facebook at Clecquot, the Naga Insu Biti. Peace, family.
All right, we're going to expound a little bit more on that Confederate flag and 4th of July. This brother was just dropping some jewels to me, and I wanted the brother to say it on camera, so I'm going to pass the mic to the brother.
We was talking about, I was saying I want to find a couple of sisters and go be the first and do the first legal polygamy, for the simple fact that what they just opened up with the so-called homosexual weddings, they set a precedence that they have to allow other things. A couple things that we think about. For one, polygamy, also gun control, marijuana, all these type of things that are not uniform throughout the states. They basically said that if you can't do this here, if you can't have a restriction over here, then you can't have a restriction over here. It has to be uniform nationwide. So if they can't have restrictions on marriage and them type of rules in any state, in any type of states anywhere, then they can. All anybody has to do is basically, as far as polygamy, do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the first one on the record to have it done. Fuck it. Go do it and tell me I can't. Based on the same precedent that the Supreme Court said you can do it. And that's the way that the laws work. The Supreme Court interprets the Constitution and says that this is what the law is. So based on that precedent, there's other things that can come down the pike, including polygamy, including marijuana, including guns. If they can have guns open in Texas, then I can have guns in New York. And you got to look at the whole political propaganda agenda. There's no way in the fucking world that this government is going to be sympathetic to the views of so-called black people, because they're upset because they got some kind of attack happening to them in the church, and they're upset because of this flag that's so-called insulting them, and responding to them and say, you know what, we're gonna do what these black people want to take this flag down. No, bull fucking shit. Bull fucking shit. It's always some political, it's always a propaganda agenda behind it. If there's a reason why they're going after them flag, you got to realize, white folks, crackers is going attacking each other about this flag. It's not just us going after this flag. There's a reason why this so-called government is going after that flag. That flag represents something that was in place, and I just went to get a case on my phone, and I saw these here, and I said, they taking away from me. Fuck it, I'm just going to get something that they saying you can't have. But I'm looking at it. This was here before the American flag. And Moors, as much as we tell a story about John Hanson and George Washington chopping down the cherry tree, the 9th president, and John Hanson was the first president, allegedly under the story, under the Articles of Confederation. George Washington was the first president under the Constitution. Once the Constitution came into effect, they put the Constitution in, correct me if I'm wrong, the way I understand, to kind of solidify bringing everything together, where before, under the Articles of Confederation, the states had different sovereign abilities. They weren't really all together one cohesive unit. And if I understand correctly, bringing it under the Constitution, bringing it together, was to limit the state's individual sovereignty, which is what this represents, I believe, which to limit the state's individual sovereignty and connect it back to the British Crown. I look at this and I see things like we saw in Kemet. And I see the 13 star. I know damn the fuck well these 13 stars from here or the other flag has nothing to do with what they're saying that does. I know that this represents the 13 times that the sister goes through her menstrual cycle every year. What they twisted up calling 31 days or 30 days a month, a month is 28 days. The moon goes around 28 days. Our sisters go through her cycles every 28 days. There's all sorts of astrological and there's all sorts of astrological and astronomical significance on all of these flags and symbols. Every 4th of July, we come to this issue of revolution and want to take down the flag and want to go against the government and all of that. Trust me, I'm more hardcore revolutionary, bang against the system than damn near everybody, but we got to be intelligent if we want to have some kind of revolution, if we want to have some kind of progress with it. The flag isn't the enemy. The government, the system isn't even the enemy. The system has been hijacked. The government in place is neutral. The system has been hijacked by private bankers and people that have nothing to do with righteous government to take over the system. The symbols that we've been given, what they've done is just like Christmas. We already know, anybody knows that the Christmas story is about the solstice and about and about astronomical things that are going on in the sky. Have nothing to do with human beings. It's the same thing with every holiday. They give you the external outward ritual and extract the energy for themselves. What most people don't know, that during this time of the year, July 4th, Sirius, the Earth, and the Sun are lined up. This is a ritual honoring Sirius. The red, the white, and the blue are Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius C, which is a red star, a white star, and a blue star. We can go way whole further into Euclid's formula, 4, 5, 6, but the point being, think. Don't just be willing to just tear down something because somebody tells you to do it. That Confederate flag, yes, fuck slavery. It has come to represent that, but the reason it's come to represent that is because white slave masters recognized it as a symbol of sovereignty, and they adopted it. It doesn't make the symbol itself represent something. Just like the fucking rainbow. Why the fuck can't I wear a rainbow? I love rainbow. It's colors, man. I can't wear a motherfucking rainbow because of these faggots. But at the same time, I do the knowledge and I pay attention. A rainbow, the prism and the spectrum and the chakra has 7 colors. They should have 6. They limited to 6. Also, it's inverted. Red is top down. Red is on the top and the purple is on the bottom. Point being, think about what we're doing. Don't fall into the propaganda. Don't get led into a race war that your enemy is setting up the formula. You know what I mean? And yeah, bang on the beast. We all know, I mean, we heard what Dr. Kamal told us years ago, and there's definitely reality to that. But don't get set up. Don't be led to the slaughter by your enemy. Think. Use your mind. Use some violet flames. Use something. Use your mind. Just think. Peace. Yo, peace. I forgot to mention this earlier. We were talking about the flag, the American flag. They told us a bunch of bullshit in school about everything. They told us something about Betsy Ross. Look, that's Osiris. There's your design for the American flag. There's your red, black, and green. That's the walls of Kemet. Fuck what these crackers told you about what they think they did 200 years ago. They have done nothing. They have invented, created nothing but the idea of rape, rob, pillage, and steal. And we can scientifically even break down why it even got that at another point. But it's all yours. Each and every ritual, each and every story, each and every symbol is all yours. The best way to take it down is to take it back. Peace.